Shabbos, my name is Joshua Schwartz, and I am a student of Jewish mysticism at NYU. In the spring of 2009, during a course of study in Jerusalem, I decided to cross the Green Line and spend a Shabbos visiting a friend who was living in the settlement of Bat Ayin in the Gush Etzion block. I decided to do this to fulfill what I try to hold myself to, which is to seek to understand a position before I critique it, to challenge my preconceived notions before I would experience it myself. And I had a wonderful Shabbos. The people there were welcoming, the spirit was uplifting, and there was a truly joyous energy present. But at the same time, I never felt like I had permission to feel comfortable, because my being there was dependent on a structure that privileged certain individuals in their mobility and in their ability to be in residence, whereas other individuals were restricted from those basic actions. So my being there at all that Shabbos was dependent on that privilege, which itself was commingled with that restriction. Near the end of the day, I sat on an overlook, gazing at the Judean hills, looking at the sloping green mountains, the beautiful land around, and I felt in my heart and my guts why people felt that they had to be in that spot, that it was not merely a choice, but some kind of vocation that called them there. And knowing that, feeling that, helped me understand what it means to need to be in a place. But then I raised a question. Does that need to be somewhere necessitate the need to rule a space, to be in dominion over a space? Or can instead it merely be to be there? After losing the love of his life, Avram Avinu, Abraham, our ancestor, goes to the city of Hebron to purchase a burial plot, to situate his family, to ground them in the ground. But the way he approaches the action of purchasing land, of acquiring land, is through exercising an ethic of cohabitation. Almost every time Abraham speaks, he speaks with rather than at. It says that Avram spoke to Bnei Chet, to the Hittites, saying, Ger v'toshav anochi, I am a resident alien. Imachem, with you. With you. Tenu li achuzat kever, give me or sell me a grasping of land, land I can hold. Imachem, with you. Ve'ekbara meti milefanai, and I will bury my dead before us, before me. Later on, Avraham makes sure to use the language of with. It says in verse 7, Vayakom Avraham v'ishtachu la'am ha'aretz livnei chet. Abraham arose and he bows to the men of the land, recognizing that these are people who are proper to the land, who have their own sense of belonging to the land. Who are they? Bnei Chet, the Hittites. Vayadaber itam lemor, and he said, with them, speaking. And then he goes on again to propose the purchasing of the land. Further, Avraham is trying to articulate that to be in this space, and even to own of this land, is not an exclusivistic project, but rather one that can be done in conjunction with others. The Zohar, commenting on this parsha on page 128b of the first volume, says that when Avram buries Sarah, it says he buried et Sarah. Now, et usually indicates the direct object, but it can also, in the Midrash, in an interpretational sense, mean with. And the withness there refers to Chava, to Eve, going all the way back to a common ancestor, to Adam and Eve. What is the cave called after all? It's called Ma'arat HaMachpelah, the doubled cave. Rashi says it's because there's two levels of graves, and one is on top of the other. It means that there's some kind of commingling, that there is a joining, an abutting, a being next to and being with. Machpelah, doubling. Machpelah. And the Zohar says Machpelah, the hay at the end means the hay of the Shekhinah, of God's presence. And to be with means to be with God as well. Judith Butler, in her recent writing on Jewish ethics and Zionism, tries to articulate such an ethic, saying that the necessity of cohabiting the earth is a principle that must guide the actions and policies of any neighborhood, community, or nation. The decision to live in one community or another is surely justified as long as it does not imply that those who live outside the community do not deserve to live. In other words, every communitarian ground for belonging is only justifiable on the condition that it is subordinate to a non-communitarian opposition to genocide. Every inhabitant who belongs to a community belongs also to the earth, Am Haaretz. And this implies a commitment not only to every other inhabitant of that earth, but also to sustaining the earth itself. The only way we can sustain the earth, we can sustain the land, is to make sure that we are living in it together. We are living with it and with each other, joined together as one, as two, as one. Have a good Shabbos. May we all be together, separate and joined, living as one, as separate, a whole.